Daniel Carter had learned that the most dangerous moments in finance were rarely the loudest ones. Sometimes the biggest warning appeared quietly in a spreadsheet, hidden between ordinary numbers that most people would never question. Daniel was a senior investment analyst at Sterling Capital in Manhattan. He was also a single father raising his 12-year-old daughter, Emma. His life revolved around two things: protecting his daughter and doing his job properly. He wasn't interested in impressing wealthy executives or collecting expensive titles. He simply believed that if he saw a problem, he had a responsibility to speak up. One Thursday afternoon, Daniel noticed something unusual. While reviewing Sterling's international investment portfolio, several positions were heavily exposed to an upcoming economic announcement. At first, the numbers looked manageable. Then Daniel compared the positions with historical market behavior. His concern grew. If the announcement triggered the reaction analysts were expecting, the company's portfolio could lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Within hours, Daniel immediately prepared a detailed risk assessment. The next morning, he walked into the executive boardroom carrying the report. CEO Victoria Reed was already seated, with the company's chief financial officer and several board members. Daniel placed the report in front of her. "Victoria, I recommend reducing our exposure before the market opens." Victoria glanced at the first page. "Why?" "There are several indicators pointing toward a major market reaction." The CFO looked at Daniel. "How serious?" Daniel answered carefully. "Potentially severe." Victoria leaned back. "You're asking us to sell billions in positions based on a prediction." "Not a prediction," Daniel replied. "A risk assessment." Victoria smiled. "Daniel, markets don't work that way." Daniel opened his laptop. "I've modeled 3 scenarios. Even the moderate scenario could create significant losses." One board member asked, "How significant?" Daniel hesitated. "If the worst-case scenario occurs, we could lose close to $900 million. The room became silent. Victoria stared at him. "That's an extraordinary claim. I hope I'm wrong." Victoria closed the report. "We're not liquidating profitable investments." Because one analyst is nervous, Daniel remained calm. "I'm not nervous." "Then what are you prepared?" Victoria shook her head. "You've been spending too much time looking for problems." Daniel looked around the table. "That's literally my job." The CFO quietly reviewed Daniel's numbers. "They're mathematically sound." Victoria turned toward him. "Sound doesn't mean correct." Daniel nodded. "True." He closed his laptop. "But if I'm wrong, we lose an opportunity." Victoria stared at him. "And if you're right," Daniel looked at her, "we lose much more." Victoria dismissed the concern. "We're staying invested." Daniel slowly gathered his papers. "I understand." Victoria smiled. "Good." Daniel stood before leaving. He placed the report on the table. "I recommend keeping this document on record." Victoria raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "So everyone remembers that the warning existed." Daniel walked out. He returned to his office and called Emma during her lunch break. "Hey, Dad." "Hey, sweetheart. How's school? Good. Are you coming home tonight?" "I wouldn't miss it." Daniel looked at the market dashboard on his computer. The warning signs were still there. He hoped Victoria was right, but deep down Daniel knew the numbers were telling a different story. And when the market opened the next morning, everyone at Sterling Capital would finally discover whether Daniel had been overly cautious, or the only person in the room who had seen the storm coming. By 9:00 a.m. the next morning, Sterling Capital's trading floor was already moving at full speed. Screens flashed across the room. Analysts monitored international markets, while traders prepared for the economic announcement Daniel had warned about. Daniel sat quietly at his desk. He wasn't celebrating, he was hoping to be wrong. At 9:05 a.m., the announcement was released. Within seconds, the market reacted. Prices began dropping at first. The decline looked manageable. Then it accelerated. "What's happening?" One trader shouted. The CFO rushed toward the main screen. "Check our international positions." Another analyst pulled up the portfolio. His face changed. "We're exposed everywhere." By 9:00 a.m., Sterling's losses had crossed several $100 million. Victoria arrived on the trading floor moments later. "What happened?" Nobody answered. Immediately, the CFO finally said the market moved exactly as Daniel predicted. Victoria froze Daniel. He pulled out the report from the previous day's meeting. Every warning Daniel had written was highlighted. Victoria stared at the pages. The numbers were almost identical to what was happening on the screens. "How much have we lost?" The CFO hesitated. "Approximately $600 million so far." Victoria's face went pale. And it's still falling at 10 a.m. The loss approached $900 million. The board chairman arrived. He walked directly into the trading room. What happened? Victoria tried to explain. The market moved unexpectedly. The chairman looked at the CFO unexpectedly. The CFO handed him Daniel's report. He warned us yesterday. The chairman read the first page. Then the second, his expression hardened. Who rejected this silence? Victoria looked down. The chairman understood immediately. Victoria, she didn't answer. He closed the report. Where is Daniel? Victoria looked toward his empty desk. He's not here. The chairman picked up his phone. Call him. Victoria's assistant dialed Daniel's number. Daniel answered calmly. Hello. The chairman took the phone. Daniel, I need you back at the office. Daniel paused. Why? The chairman looked at the trading screens. Because you were right, Daniel sighed. I didn't want to be. We need your help. Daniel remained silent for several seconds. I'm at home with my daughter. The chairman glanced at Victoria. Can you come in? Daniel answered carefully. I warned the company because I wanted to protect it. But I can't make decisions for people who don't trust my judgment. The chairman understood. You're right. Victoria finally stepped closer. Daniel, he listened. I should have listened, she said. Daniel didn't respond immediately. Then he said the money is already lost. Apologizing won't reverse it. Victoria lowered her eyes. I know, but learning from it might prevent the next loss. The chairman nodded. That's why I'm offering you something. Daniel waited. I want you to lead Sterling's risk management division. Daniel looked toward Emma on one condition. What my recommendations can't be ignored because they're inconvenient. The chairman answered immediately agreed. Daniel accepted. Months later, Sterling's financial position stabilized. The company never recovered the entire $900 million overnight, but its new risk system prevented several potentially devastating decisions. Victoria remained CEO, but she changed the way she listened. And Daniel continued coming home every evening to his daughter. He had learned something important that morning. In business, being right isn't enough. You also need leaders willing to listen. Before the warning becomes a disaster,